Thank you, thank you. That last piece that I just performed, that was about breakups. I know, they're hard, but we carry on. The title of my talk is Cyborg Musicianship. I'm wearing a large controller made from Springbok horns and arcade buttons, and I've just been performing on electro-mechanical devices that play percussion instruments. Now, extrapolating from these facts, you might think that cyborg musicianship is part of some weird sci-fi genre made by nerds and distributed on obscure internet forums, and you would be half right. But the other half of the story is that cyborg musicianship already dominates the production of pop music and permeates music-related video games and mobile device applications. The machines that you see here on stage are, in a sense, physical manifestations of ideas that have already spread throughout musical culture via software. But before I elaborate on that point, I'd like to lay out a tentative definition of cyborg musicianship. Cyborg musicianship connects technology to the musical body in mind in order to enhance their capabilities or to compensate for their weaknesses. This technology may aid perception, mental processing, or physical motion. I'll give you an example from my own music. And this is kind of how everything works. When I press a button on the controller, a solenoid hits a drum. A solenoid is the electromagnet above the drums. If I hold down the button, that solenoid hits the drum repeatedly. How fast it hits the drum depends upon the rotation of the controller, so this angle of motion, and how hard it hits the drum depends upon this angle of motion. In total, these controls allow me to play rhythms that would be impossible for me to play on my own in the conventional manner, or indeed impossible for anyone to play in the conventional way. However, there is a trade-off here. I lose control of some of the finer points, some of the subtle inflections that give traditional percussion music much of its expressive power. In exchange, I gain capabilities in speed, precision, and manipulation of loops. And this is a dynamic that recurs frequently in cyborg musicianship. With a gain in power or ease of performance comes a loss in subtlety. Perhaps the best example of this dynamic is also the best known example of cyborg musicianship, although it's not labeled as such. I'm talking about auto-tune, of course. For those of you who have not listened to Top 40 radio in the past 10 years, one, congratulations. Two, give yourselves a round of applause. I should mention that I think this is, in parentheses, that I think this is a wonderful time for popular music, and a lot of wonderful popular music is being made today. It's just not on the radio. Back to my point. Auto-tune is commercial software that adjusts the pitch of a singer's voice to be in tune automatically. It has been widely adopted in dance music, hip-hop, R&B, and some of the more commercial flavors of rock music and even country. As a result, everyone on pop radio is in tune, and everyone sounds the same. Auto-tune has been so successful at removing requirements for vocal skill and musical performance that it is possible for anyone to create a reasonable facsimile of a commercial pop hit. In other words, cyborg musicianship democratizes music production. If you can't carry a tune, auto-tune will carry it for you. If you don't understand harmony, the smart instruments in GarageBand will harmonize for you. And if you can't keep a steady tempo, a click track will keep it for you. If I describe this situation with the right phrasing, it sounds wonderful. If I asked you, wouldn't it be wonderful if everyone could make music? You would probably say, yes, that sounds delightful. If I asked you, wouldn't it be wonderful if millions of people started disgorging same-sounding crap onto the internet? You would probably be less enthusiastic. But there's another way to look at this. Traditional musicianship, such as the ability to sing in tune or to sight-read music in difficult keys, had a gatekeeper function. It was like the hard math class in med school that supposedly weeds out those without the raw talent or ambition to hack it in the real world. But the correlation between traditional musicianship and musical imagination is imperfect. There are people who may lack for musical motor skills or sight-singing ability, but who nonetheless have interesting ideas about what music can be. These musicians, who otherwise would be marginalized by their technical inadequacies, are now able to realize their ideas through cybernetic software and hardware. For music creators who fit that profile, this is an exciting possibility, and I know because I am one of them. I am a bad singer. Now, you wouldn't know that because of how I heavily processed my vocals with my own software, but trust me, I am. I have a decent sense of rhythm, but I'm not a phenomenon in that department either. What I am good at is understanding how music works and how it's put together, and I can code. In a previous century, I would have written obscure treatises about harmony, but today, with a combination of my own software and hardware, as well as commercial software, I'm able to realize these ideas in performance. In these performances, I try to go beyond compensating for my own flaws. I try to explore the unique possibilities that my rig offers. And this, for me, is the most exciting part about cyborg musicianship. The best cyborg musicianship goes beyond trying to achieve a flawless, natural-sounding result. Instead, it embraces the technology as its own medium. This is not a new idea in forward-thinking or academic music circles, but it is one that is only partly accepted in mass-market music software and hardware. Ultimately, cyborg musicianship must become comfortable with itself. The democratization of musical performance does not have to result in an ocean of bland imitations of conventional music if newly empowered cyborg musicians remember to embrace artifice and misuse their tools. Thank you.